72 seconds. That is all it took for Senator Richard Blumenthal to expose what FBI Director Kash Patel had been hiding for 11 months. One question, one document, one moment of absolute silence that revealed the biggest institutional betrayal in federal law enforcement history. The Senate Intelligence Committee chamber went from routine oversight to complete chaos. Cameras captured every second. 34 million Americans watched live. And Kash Patel, the man who promised to drain the swamp and expose the deep state, sat frozen as his own words were read back to him. Words that proved he had become exactly what he claimed to fight against. But before we get to that devastating 72-second exchange, you need to understand who these two men are and why this confrontation was inevitable from the moment. Patel took the FBI director's oath. Richard Blumenthal, Connecticut Senator, Yale Law School, former U.S. Attorney, former Connecticut Attorney General, 20 years prosecuting organized crime, public corruption, and child exploitation cases. When Blumenthal questions a witness, he doesn't perform for cameras. He builds cases methodical, relentless, impossible to deflect. His colleagues call him the prosecutor who never stopped prosecuting. Today, he had been preparing for this moment for 11 months since the day Kash Patel was confirmed as FBI director. Kash Patel, former federal prosecutor, former Defense Department official, former chief of staff to the acting Secretary of Defense, national security hardliner, Trump loyalist. The man who wrote a children's book about fighting the deep state. When he became FBI director in January 2025, he promised absolute transparency on the Epstein files. No more cover-ups, he said at his confirmation hearing. No more protecting the powerful. Every name will be investigated. Every lead will be followed. I don't care who it implicates, bold words. But here is what Blumenthal discovered. In Patel's first 11 months as FBI director, not a single new Epstein-related investigation had been opened. Not one. 0 arrests. 0 indictments. 0 subpoenas issued to any of the individuals named in witness testimony. And most damning of all 127 active investigative leads that existed on the 20th of January 2025, the day Patel took office, had been systematically closed. 127 leads. Gone. Now subscribe to this channel right now and hit the bell icon, because what I am about to show you will be all over the news within hours, and you need to see it first. This isn't just another political hearing. This is the moment the Epstein cover-up collapsed under the weight of its own lies. The 15th of March, 2026, 2:47 p.m. Hart Senate Office Building. Room 216. The Senate Intelligence Committee hearing room was packed beyond capacity. Every seat filled, journalists standing in the back. Camera crews from every network. This was supposed to be a routine quarterly briefing on FBI operations, budget, personnel, counterterrorism priorities. Routine, boring, predictable. But at 1:30 p.m., just 77 minutes before the hearing began, Blumenthal's office had released a single sentence statement. Senator Blumenthal has obtained classified FBI documents related to the Epstein investigation. He will be presenting these documents at today's hearing. The media went insane. What documents from where? How classified? Blumenthal's office refused all follow-up questions. Just that one sentence. And suddenly a routine oversight hearing became the most watched congressional event in months. Kash Patel arrived at 2:35 p.m., 12 minutes before testimony. He walked in with his usual confident stride, navy suit, crisp white shirt, red tie. But those who knew him noticed the tells. His jaw was clenched. His eyes were scanning the room, not making contact. And he had brought 4 FBI lawyers instead of the usual 1-4. He knew something was coming. He just didn't know what. The first 90 minutes went exactly as planned. Republican senators praised Patel's leadership. They highlighted arrest statistics, counterterrorism successes, and border security operations. Patel responded with practiced confidence, citing numbers, praising agents, thanking the committee for their support. Democratic senators asked pointed questions about civil liberties concerns and politicization of the FBI. Patel deflected with bureaucratic precision. Ongoing investigations. Can't comment on specific cases. Protecting sources and methods. The standard playbook. But at 4:17 p.m., committee chairman Mark Warner recognized Senator Blumenthal for his question time. The room went silent. Not the normal kind of hearing silence. This was different. Anticipatory electric. Everyone knew what was coming. Well, everyone except Kash Patel. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Blumenthal began. His voice was calm, too calm. The voice of a prosecutor who has already won the case and is just walking the jury through the evidence. Director Patel, I want to discuss your testimony from your confirmation hearing, the 15th of January, 2025. Do you remember what you said about the Epstein investigation? Patel nodded. Still confident, I said we would pursue every lead without fear or favor, Senator, and we have. You said, and I am quoting your exact words, Blumenthal pulled out a document. You said, I will personally ensure that every individual named in witness testimony is thoroughly investigated. I don't care if they're billionaires, politicians, or foreign dignitaries. Justice is blind, and under my leadership, the FBI will prove it. End quote. Do you stand by those words, Director? Absolutely, Senator. Patel's voice was firm. That remains my commitment. Good, Blumenthal replied. He opened a thick manila folder on his desk. Because I want to show you something. What nobody in that room knew, nobody except Blumenthal and his staff, was that 3 days earlier, an FBI agent had walked into Blumenthal's office with a USB drive. The agent had 19 years of service, clean record, multiple commendations, and a conscience that wouldn't let him stay silent anymore. On that USB drive were internal FBI case management files showing every Epstein-related investigation that existed on the 20th of January, 2025, and what happened to each one after Patel took command. Director Patel, Blumenthal said, pulling the first document from his folder. This is FBI case file EC-2019-00847, opened in July 2019, subject: financial transactions between Jeffrey Epstein and an unnamed foreign intelligence service. Status as of the 20th of January 2025, active investigation, multiple leads being pursued. Status as of the 21st of January 2025, your first day as director closed. Reason given: insufficient evidence to proceed. Does that sound familiar? Patel's expression didn't change, but his hand moved slightly on the table. Senator, I can't discuss specific case files in an open session without compromising. I am not asking you to discuss it, Blumenthal interrupted. I am asking you if you personally ordered it closed. Silence 3 seconds. Patel glanced at his lawyers. Then decisions about case closures are made by career agents and prosecutors based on evidentiary standards. I don't micromanage individual investigations. Interesting, Blumenthal said. He pulled out another document. Case file EC-2020-01293. Subject witness testimony naming 3 individuals present at Epstein's New Mexico ranch. Active investigation as of the 20th of January, closed the 22nd of January. Your authorization code is on the closure form. He held up the document so the cameras could see it. Kate Patel, FBI Director. That is not career agents making decisions. Director, that is you. The room erupted. Journalists typing frantically. Senators leaning forward. Patel's lawyers huddled together, whispering urgently. But Blumenthal wasn't done. Not even close. Let me show you another one, he continued, his voice rising slightly. Case file EC-2021-00566, subject: analysis of flight logs showing 18 trips by a named individual to Epstein's private island, active investigation with subpoenas prepared. Closed the 25th of January. Your signature. Another document held high. And another one. EC-2021. -00892. Witness testimony describing sexual abuse at Epstein's Manhattan townhouse. 3 corroborating witnesses. Active investigation. Closed the 27th of January. Your authorization. Blumenthal began pulling documents out faster, stacking them on the table like a dealer laying down cards. The 28th of January, case closed. Your signature, the 30th of January, case closed. Your signature, the 2nd of February, case closed. Your signature. The pile grew. The 5th of February, 8th, 12th, 14th, 19th, 23rd, all closed, all your authorization. He stopped, looked directly at Patel. 127 active Epstein investigations on the day you took office. Within 60 days, you personally closed 127 of them, every single one, not career agents, not prosecutors. The silence was absolute. You could hear the ventilation system somewhere. A phone buzzed, a chair creaked, but nobody spoke, because everyone in that room understood what they were witnessing. This wasn't political theater. This was documented proof of systematic obstruction. Patel's face had gone from confident to pale. His jaw was working. His hands were gripping the table. When he finally spoke, his voice had lost all its earlier certainty. Senator, those closures were based on thorough review of the evidence. Many of those cases had reached dead ends or lacked prosecutable. Dead ends. Blumenthal's voice cut like a blade. Director Patel, I have the case files right here. Case EC-2019-00847. the one you closed on day one, had active grand jury subpoenas ready to be served. The lead agent wrote in his final report, quote, "This investigation has identified specific individuals, dates, locations, and financial transactions. We have 3 cooperating witnesses ready to testify. Case is ready for prosecution pending final approval." That is not a dead-end, Director. That is an investigation you killed. Now, if you are watching this and thinking, this can't be real, pause and like this video right now. The algorithm needs to push this to more people. And comment below, who do you think those 127 cases were protecting? Because what comes next is going to answer that question in a way nobody expected. Blumenthal reached into his folder one more time, but this time, he pulled out a single sheet of paper, just 1 page, but the way he held it carefully, almost reverently, signaled that this was the kill shot, Director Patel. He said slowly, "On the 14th of February, 2025, did you attend a meeting at the White House?" Patel hesitated. "I attend many meetings at the White House as part of my duties." The 14th of February, Blumenthal repeated. "Valentine's Day, 3 p.m. to 4:45 p.m. Oval Office. Present were yourself, the Attorney General, the White House Chief of Staff, and the President. Yes or no, did that meeting occur?" Patel's lawyers were now visibly alarmed. One leaned forward to whisper in his ear, but Patel waved him off. "Yes, that meeting occurred." "And what was discussed at that meeting?" "Senator, conversations with the President are privileged." "I am not asking what the President said." Blumenthal cut him off. "I am asking what you discussed regarding the Epstein investigations." "I don't recall specific. Let me refresh your memory." Blumenthal held up the single page. "This is a White House visitor log entry, declassified yesterday under court order. Meeting subject line, FBI Epstein files, status update and closure recommendations. Director Patel, you went to the White House with a list of every active Epstein investigation, and you went there to get approval to close them, didn't you?" Time stopped in that moment. Everything became clear. Why 127 cases closed so quickly? Why Patel personally signed each closure? Why the investigations with the strongest evidence went first? It wasn't random. It wasn't evidentiary review. It was a coordinated plan executed at the highest levels of government. Patel opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. His senior lawyer stood up. "Mr. Chairman, my client needs to confer with counsel before answering questions about executive branch communications." "Sit down," Blumenthal commanded. "This isn't about privilege. This is about your client lying to Congress." At his confirmation hearing, Director Patel swore under oath that he would investigate every lead. Instead, before he'd been director for 2 months, he went to the White House and got permission to close every single active investigation. And then he came before the American people and claimed the FBI was pursuing justice without fear or favor. Blumenthal's voice was shaking now, not with anger, with moral fury at institutional betrayal. "Do you know what is in these case files, Director? Witness testimony from survivors. Women who were teenagers when they were abused. Women who found the courage to talk to the FBI. Women who were promised justice." And you closed their cases. Not because the evidence was weak. These files show the evidence was strong. You closed them because the people they named were too powerful, too connected, too protected. He held up the stack of case files. Flight logs showing a sitting U.S. senator made 11 trips to Epstein's island closed. Financial records showing a Fortune 500 CEO paid $2.3 million directly to Epstein while girls were being trafficked closed. Witness testimony placing a member of European royalty at the Manhattan townhouse on 6 occasions closed. A State Department official who facilitated visa applications for Epstein's associates closed every case that threatened someone powerful. Closed. Patel was no longer looking at Blumenthal. He was staring at the table. His lawyers were frantically writing notes, preparing statements, doing damage control. But the damage was done. In 72 seconds, from the moment Blumenthal asked about the White House meeting to this moment, Kash Patel's entire defense had collapsed. "Director Patel," Blumenthal said, his voice now quiet but deadly, "I am going to give you one chance to tell the truth. Did someone order you to close those investigations?" Every camera in the room zoomed in on Patel's face. This was the moment. Would he fall on his sword? Would he name names? Would he invoke executive privilege? The silence stretched. 5 seconds. 10, 15. Finally, Patel spoke. "Senator, the decisions I made regarding FBI investigations were based on my judgment as director in consultation with the Justice Department and consistent with my obligations to your obligations." Blumenthal's voice rose again. Your obligations were to the victims. Your obligations were to the law. Your obligations were to the truth. Instead, you went to the White House, got your orders, and systematically buried every piece of evidence that could threaten powerful people. He gathered his documents. Mr. Chairman, I move that these documents be entered into the congressional record. I further move that the Justice Department Inspector General open an immediate investigation into Director Patel's handling of the Epstein files. And I call for Director Patel's resignation, effective immediately. The chamber exploded, Democrats applauding, Republicans shouting objections, journalists flooding out to file stories. But through it all, one image dominated: Kash Patel, the man who promised to drain the swamp, sitting silent at the witness table while documents proving his betrayal were stacked in front of him. The hearing didn't officially end until 6:30 p.m., but nobody was paying attention after Blumenthal's revelation. Within minutes, Number Patelid was trending worldwide. News networks cut to breaking news coverage. Legal analysts called it the most damning congressional testimony since Watergate. But here is what makes this even more significant. Remember those 127 cases Patel closed. Blumenthal's staff had been working for 3 months to get them reopened. Yesterday, a federal judge ordered the FBI to turn over all case files to a special prosecutor. Every single one of those investigations is being reviewed. And sources tell me that within 30 days, we're going to see the first indictments. 72 seconds. That is all it took for one senator with one White House meeting to expose the entire cover-up. Patel thought he could hide behind bureaucratic language and executive privilege. But he forgot one thing. Richard Blumenthal has been taking down corrupt officials for 30 years. And he doesn't lose as of tonight. Patel hasn't resigned. The White House issued a statement calling Blumenthal's accusations politically motivated. But 3 Republican senators have already called for a special counsel investigation. And the FBI Agents Association, the union representing 14,000 active agents, issued a statement saying they support full transparency regarding the handling of all Epstein-related investigations. The walls are closing in, and the man who promised to expose the deep state is about to learn what happens when you become part of it. If you want to follow every development in this story, subscribe now and hit the bell tomorrow. Blumenthal's office is releasing the full case files, all 127 of them. We'll go through the most explosive ones right here. And share this video everywhere, because this pressure cannot stop until every name in those files is investigated. The truth is coming out finally, and not even the FBI director can stop it anymore.